Nearly 1 in 5 Americans know someone who struggled with opioid addiction. It's an epidemic that's led to more than 400,000 overdose deaths in the last 2 decades. So how exactly did we get here? Well, the CDC breaks this down into 3 waves, starting in the late 1990s when doctors first began treating chronic pain patients with opioid painkillers like Oxycontin and Vicodin. Pharmaceutical companies insisted the drugs weren't addictive, so they quickly became overprescribed. At one point, as many as 249 million prescriptions were given out in a single year. That's enough for every American adult to have their own bottle of pills. And as prescriptions increased, so did overdose deaths. Fast forward to the second wave around 2010. After recognizing the addictive nature of painkillers, doctors cut back on prescriptions. But as people lost access to these painkillers, many switched to heroin, a cheaper, more accessible opioid. One study even found that 3/4 of heroin users in treatment started with prescription opioids. And the high demand for heroin led to a surplus of it on the streets. Hundreds of thousands became addicted to the drug, regardless of whether or not they had a previous addiction to painkillers. Overdoses from heroin skyrocketed until the third wave around 2013. That's when overdose deaths started to include the drug fentanyl. It's an extremely powerful synthetic opioid found in heroin, pills, and cocaine. And those synthetic opioids are now linked to more overdose deaths than any other drug in the US. And this battle is far from over. In fact, 130 Americans die every day from an opioid overdose. It's why over 2,000 cities, counties, and states have filed lawsuits against drug makers, distributors, and pharmacies for their role in the crisis. They argue the epidemic started because doctors were misled into thinking that opioids weren't addictive. But the pharmaceutical industry has largely denied responsibility. And at least 4 major drug companies settled their lawsuits for $260 million to avoid going to trial. But many parts of that massive litigation are still outstanding. Regardless, some say that settlement money isn't anywhere near enough. After all, the government estimates the crisis costs hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here. And click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.